Hello everyone, my name is Alex from Jäger Miniatures. Today I'm going to do something different. I'm not showing you my workflow on how I'm converting something, but today we're going to dip into digital kit bashing. About 1 year ago I did my conversion of a Screamer Killer, and someone suggested that I could have done that digitally. But to be honest, at that time I wasn't that far yet, so I really struggled with this digital kit bashing stuff. So for today I did my homework a bit, and I want to show you what I've learned over the past months, and maybe you can take something with you. So join me at my desktop right now instead on the table, and look what we can do with a conversion of a Biovore for my Necronids Army. Enjoy!
Chapter 1. The software. As for traditional kit bashing, it is very important to have some tools at hand. And there is a ton of software out there to manipulate and create 3D files, and I really tried quite some of them. And for me, I settled with the following 3 tools. So the first is 3D Builder. This is a Windows app from the Windows Software Store, and this is for basic editing and for a fast preview of STL files. The second tool I use is Blender. And Blender is, so to say, the holy grail of digital editing, with everything around it and much more than I can imagine, so to be honest. And the last tool I'm using is a Litchi Slicer, where I prepare the files for printing. For this video, I will spend most of the time in Blender, since this is where the magic happens and where I had the highest learning curve, to be honest. Chapter 2. Getting into Blender. When I first tried to use Blender, I was overwhelmed by the vast amount of functions and possibilities this tool allows. It took me quite some time to find out what functions are important for the purpose I want to use them. So here are the top 5 functions you will need to get your first digital kit bash done. Number 1. Moving your view. The first thing to do is being able to zoom in and zoom out by just using your mouse wheel. Scroll in and out. By pressing the middle mouse button, you're going to be able to rotate around your current viewpoint, focus point. And to shift that focus point, you need to use that hand on the right side. And you can move laterally. Alternatively, you can also press Shift and the middle mouse button to do that. Once you moved, you're going to be able to rotate around that new focus point again. If you want to come back to where everything started, press Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then Shift C. In some cases it might be helpful to be able to hide some of the objects you have in your view, and to do that you're going to be able to press H, and it's gone. To make it visible again, you click on the right side on that eye symbol here. I'm gonna make it visible again. Number 2, moving and scaling your objects. So moving an object is similar to moving the view, but instead of rotating and moving around the whole scene, the object you selected will now move relatively to the rest of the scene. To do so, you select the Move menu, click on an object, and then you're going to be able to move the object alongside these arrows. To rotate, you can use the rotation menu, or you click on transform, and then you're going to be able to use movement alongside the axis as well as the rotation at the same time. If you want to scale your object, use the scale menu, click on the selected object you want to scale, and then you can either scale it in one direction, or if you wanted to scale it as a whole, so that's what I usually do, is click on that outer circle here, and then you're going to be scaling the object bigger and smaller. Now if you moved your object too far away somewhere and you want to have it back on your origin, then click Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then select your object you want to move, Shift S, selection to cursor. You're gonna jump back to the origin. Number 3, the origin of an object. So at the beginning I really had issues moving around the objects I imported because I didn't understand the concept of the origin. When you're working with plastic models, you can turn and move and rotate the parts like you want, depending on where you touch and hold them, and it feels naturally. The origin is like the point where you hold the part, but unlike in the real world, that point can also be outside the physical representation of that object, like in this case. The origin is outside of the object and everything is turning around that. And that problem comes even more obvious if you're using legs or something, where they are like rotating and turning around a point which is really, really far out of the object's center of mass. So if you want to align that leg now anywhere, it's really getting like hard. So the first thing you should do when importing objects is clicking right on the object, set origin, and origin to geometry, and you can see that now that leg is rotating around its center of mass, making it much easier to position it anywhere. Now you would still be having some difficulties if you want to allocate that joint to a body somewhere on the model, but there's a cure to that as well. To do so, click on cursor, select the cursor where you want to move that object later on. In that particular case, we're using that joint. Right click and then origin to 3D cursor. And now you can see that that leg is moving around that point, allowing you to position it where you want to have it. Like if you would use your hands in the real world. Number 4, adding or subtracting objects. So in many cases I only wanted to use part of an object and add it to another one. That's from my point of view the essence of kitbashing. So in 3D Builder it is pretty easy. You just add another object like a cube, select the 2 objects, align them a bit of course, maybe even scaling the object a bit. But now we're pretty good to go, and just say that we want to have like cut off that gun. So in that case you would just select both parts, say edit, and then you can have the overlap. There you are. Or you could say you want to subtract. There you are. Or you could also join them. Well, and it is looking like this, basically. Now in Blender this is a bit more complicated, or not as convenient. So to do so, you add a meshed object, in that case a cube, then scale it to the size you need it. And then select the object you want to do the operation on, and then go on modifiers, add modifier, generate, and then a Boolean operator. You can select between union or difference or insects, and then select the cube we just created as the object to do the operation with. And you can also see that it's creating the shape it would result in right now. But it's not yet done, so before doing that you need to do an apply. Until the modifier is not gone, the operation hasn't been done. So now if we hide the rectangle now, we can see that there's the cutout gun. And now you sometimes see such small parts, like these. They are still part of the object you just created. You want to get rid of them, but you cannot select them by themselves because they're still part of the object. For that, you go to edit mode, then press P and then separate by loose parts. And then you can go back to object mode. And now as you can see, there are some more objects, but now you can select these small things as individual objects, and you can also remove them as individual objects. Number 5, cutting. Now, the last thing I want to show you might already be a bit advanced, but it is not absolutely necessary to do your first digital kitbashing. But depending on what you are creating, you might have to cut things in several parts to be able to print them, for example. And the easiest way again is to use 3D Builder, where you just select the object you want to cut. And then there's a function under edit, which is potentially in English called split or cut. And there you already see there's a plane, and then you can move that plane to where you want to have it, and you can select whether you want to have the upper part, the lower part, or even have both parts. And then you just apply. And now you have these two parts to be moved yourself. Now in Blender this is not as intuitive, but it is similar. Well, again, we need to add a plane, a mesh plane. Then you scale the plane to the size you want to have it. And you might have to move it. There you are, cutting right through everything. Now before you can apply the boolean as we did before, you need to solidify that plane, because right now it is visible to us, but it is not really physically existing. So click on modifiers, add modifier, generate, and then solidify. Then you can select any thickness. It's really only about having a physical representation of that plane. And then we do the same as we did before. Add modifier, boolean, select the plane we just created, and hit apply. Now you can see that we have this cut through the object. They are still in one object. You want to have several objects. So go back to edit mode. While you have the object selected, this is important, then press P, separate by loose parts, and then you can go back to object mode and have several objects be moved independently. There you are. Now theory is fine, now let's put this into practice. So we're starting with the body, as we already did, and let's bring it into position. Now we're importing a new weapon. So this is kind of blurry, and to get rid of this, go to edit mode, then press A to select everything. Go on the face, select this one, and then right click and shade flat. Now you can go back and you see like everything is more even. Alright, but still, the search is still too big, so let's size it to the size we want to have it. Well, this almost looks good, but I don't like this shape here from the original gun, so we need to get rid of that. Now we'll add the modifier and remove the sphere from it. Okay, now I would like to add some Necron symbol on the back here, and that's what we do next. I would like to embed this emblem a bit more deeper in the body, but if doing so, we will have this part here open. And now, since it would be some kind of cumbersome to create an own sphere or anything which is similar to that object, we're gonna subtract with the object itself. Alright, that's what we did. Now we still have these residual parts here, and to get rid of them we select the object to edit mode, A, and then P, separate by loose parts, and then we can go to the object mode again, and we will see these tiny bits. We can just erase them. And we got this clear. Okay, I think I like this. We can remove the original one. And we have this embedded. Nice. Let's do the same with the search. So let's get the head back in. And that's how it looks with some legs on it.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel or give me a thumbs up. I like your comments. See you next time. Bye bye.